Everyone is here, we got atmosphere. We love this place. Hey, living different lives, but we all unite for this one day. And when we all come together, your love is making us better. The world will see the truth of who you are. No bigger life than growing up in your house, when we discover who we can become. Praising with your people, going all out. We came to meet with you, you. We came to meet with you, you. Hey, there is more to see. Yeah, we got the key found in your word. Hey, I got a heart to serve and help build your church in Jesus' name. And when we all come together, your love is making us better. The world will see the truth of who you are. No bigger life than growing up in your house, when we discover who we can become. Praising with your people, going all out. We came to meet with you, you. We came to meet with you, you. And when we all come together, your love is making us better. The world will see the truth of who you are. And when we all come together, your love is making us better. The world will see the truth of who you are. Who you are. No bigger life than growing up in your house, where we discover who we can become. Yeah. Praising with your people, going all out. We came to meet with you, you. No bigger life than growing up in your house, where we discover who we can become. Praising with your people, going all out. We came to meet with you, you. 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 We came to meet with
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew. I'm so glad you joined us today for Redeemer Kids. We have a full of action story about Jesus, and today Jesus is meeting some of his very best friends. Did you ever think Jesus had best friends? He did! And I want us each to take a moment to think about one thing that we're thankful for about our friends. And when we have that thought, we're going to whisper it to our neighbor. So you have 10 seconds. Go. What's one thing? Tell your neighbor quickly. Oh, done. Excellent. So, our story today is Jesus, and he's speaking about death, life, and even a big word called resurrection. It means when people come back from the dead. Oh my gosh. So, get ready, buckle your seatbelts, put your thinking caps on, and get ready for an amazing story. Bye.
Hello, everyone. I'm Cindy, and I'm really happy to talk to you guys today, leading up to your lesson about Lazarus. We're here in my garden, my pride and joy. And I love my garden, first of all, because it's just filled with beautiful flowers, as you can see. Behind me are my roses and my alstroemeria, and all around me is just lovely, beautiful things and butterflies and bees. It seems bursting with life. But the truth is, the garden is really a place of life and death. And there really is a struggle with the weeds and the slugs and the snails all battling with the beautiful flowers. And for a gardener, you have to deal with life and death every time you dig. So we're going to do an experiment today thinking about the power of life and death. So I want you to follow me over to my mint plants. So we're going to dig out a couple of mint plants. Now this is mint, and it smells so good, and it's lovely in glasses of water, it's lovely in tea, it's lovely to help you cook your potatoes, but it spreads like crazy, and it can kill off my roses. I can pull it out all the time. So we're going to pull up a couple of mint plants and try and keep them alive. Now I started to dig one up, so I've dug this one up, and you can see it's already a bit limp. And when it's limp, this means actually it's dying. Now, it's not dead yet, and what I want to do is keep it alive. So I've got some dirt here. I've dug up some dirt from the garden. I'm going to press it down deep in the dirt, put the roots way down deep, and press them around. Now I'm going to do it to a second plant. So follow me up here, and got my trusty fork, do some digging, dig around, get those roots out, yeah, and here it is. You can see the roots. We've got to get them deep in the soil. So we go into the soil like that, press it way down so the roots are no longer visible, and we press all the dirt around it. But as you can see, both of these plants are dying, unlike this mint, which is nice and safe in the soil. So how do we get them to revive? Well, the simple answer is water. We have to give them lots of water. But we're going to run an experiment, and we're going to only water one of the plants. Which one should we water? Let's see, this one looks worse. This one looks worse than that one, don't you agree? So let's give this one the water. Lots of water. And we have to let the water run through, water it again, water it again. But the other one, we're going to forget about. We're just going to leave it. And we're going to check on it in a couple of days. Well, first we'll check on it tomorrow, and then we'll check on it on Saturday. We'll see how it's doing. So join me tomorrow, and we're going to see if we can keep both our plants alive. Thanks so much. Hello kids, this is day 2 of our experiment with the power of life and death in the plant world. Oh, I gotta take my glasses off. These are my gardening glasses, and they're already muddy. Now, the reason this matters so much to gardeners is because we spend a lot of time digging up plants and transplanting them. And then we have to water all over the garden, all the plants we transplanted. Sometimes we forget to water them. So I have a plant right over here that I forgot to water about a week ago, and I'm watering it every day, but it still looks pretty dead. Now, let's take a look at the 2 plants we put in the ground yesterday. Remember, this is day 2 of our experiment with the power of life and death. Here is Exhibit A. This is a mint plant that got plenty of water yesterday. And if you look in, you can see it's nice and moist and muddy, but it's still drooping. You can see it's drooping, but I think it's going to be okay. The leaves are nice and green and vibrant. Now, let's look at the other plant. This is the one that got no water. And if you look up close, you can see the leaves are very brown, very wilted. In fact, it's not only dying, it might be very, very close to death. But I want to revive it, you know, and it's like I put it in the ground and I forgot all about it, like my plant over there. So I'm going to give it water and I'm going to hope that it comes back to life. There we go, lots of water. And then we're going to water this one as well. Then we'll check on our plants tomorrow and see if your gardener, with her muddy hands, has been able to bring her dying plant back to life with a little bit of water. See you tomorrow. Again, it's now day 3 in the garden, and we're still wondering if I, the gardener, have the power of life and death. Now, we're going to look at our 2 plants that we've been experimenting with, our mint plants. And as you remember, one plant we watered on day 1 and day 2. The other plant we didn't water on day 1, but we watered it on day 2. We were trying to revive it. So first, let's look at the plant that we watered on day 1 and day 2. Here's our mint. It's still got water in it, way too much water, and it's doing fine. Lovely green leaves, very bright. It's sitting up pretty nicely. It's not fully recovered. It's going to take a few more days, but it's doing really well. Has a lovely scent. So in a day or 2, all those leaves will be sprung up. It'll be raring to go. I could put it in my house and I could have lovely mint all summer long. Now let's look at the other plant. Oh, it's dead. I mean, this is properly dead. I could pull this thing right out and throw it on the garden as compost. You can see the leaves are dried, they're brown, no scent at all. And there's water in it because we did water it. I watered it on day 2, no good. I can't bring it back to life. No matter how much I'd like to try, there's nothing I can do. And this leads us to the story of Lazarus. Enjoy.
Welcome back to another Redeemer Kids session. I'm so glad you're joining us again. I hope you enjoyed meeting my friend Andrew and also my friend Cindy and seeing her wonderful garden. If you haven't guessed it, we're meeting Jesus in a different place with different people this week. And the story starts with Jesus and his followers, and they're on a journey, and Jesus gets word from his friends. He gets a message from his friends. And I want to ask you guys, Hannah, Eli, David, do you guys have friends that are family friends? They're friends where you love the sisters, and you love the brothers, and you love the mommy and the daddy. Think in your head. You don't have to say it out loud. Do you have a family friend like that?
Yeah.
You do?
Mm-hmm. I do.
You do? Jesus had a family friend. And these friends were named Mary was one of the sisters. Martha was one of the sisters. And then the brother had a really strange name. The brother's name was Lazarus. Can you say Lazarus?
Lazarus.
Can you say Lazarus?
Lazarus.
Good. So Jesus was walking with his followers, and the message that he got was from Mary and Martha, and they said their brother Lazarus was sick. And they said, Jesus, hurry up. We want you to get to us because Lazarus is sick. What would you do? Listen, Jesus and his followers had seen that he had the power to heal people. They had seen him heal people who were really, really sick. They had seen him heal people who could not hear anymore. And Mary and Martha knew this too. What would you do if you had the power to heal somebody who was sick and you found out somebody that you loved was very sick? What would you do? Yes, Eli?
I use my power
you would make them come alive and feel better? What would you do?
I'd call the ambulance.
She'd call the ambulance?
999.
Well, there's no ambulance back when Jesus was living. Jesus.
I don't know how to kill
Okay, what would you do?
I would use my powers to make them come in.
David would use his powers to help them feel better.
To make my tummy feel better.
Jesus didn't have an ambulance in his day, and Jesus actually slowed down when he figured out that Lazarus was sick. And it's really interesting. He could have healed Lazarus. He loved Lazarus, but he slowed down and did not hurry up to get there. And what we learn is that Jesus wants his followers to grow. Jesus wants his followers to grow is the first thing we learn. He wanted his followers to see what Jesus would do. What would you do? How would you make a symbol for growing? How would you make a symbol, Hannah? That's a good symbol for growing. Eli? Shooting up like that. David? Oh, that's cool. Jesus wanted his followers to grow, just like everything you guys just did. So Jesus, after waiting a few days, continued on, and he finally got to Martha and Mary. And Martha and Mary were so sad because Lazarus had died. While Jesus was slowing down, Lazarus, their sick brother, had died. And Martha and Mary were sad. And Jesus got there, and Jesus wound up crying with them. Can you stand up for me, David? Can you stand up? You can stay there, Hannah. And what they did, you can go ahead, Eli. What they did was they wrapped up Lazarus in linens to get him ready for the grave. And then they put him into the grave because he had died. And they were crying and they were sad. And Jesus, even though he knew how the story would end, Jesus cried with them because he knew that Mary and Martha were sad. And what we learn about this, just like Jesus wants his disciples to grow, wants his followers to grow, Jesus loves his friends. He cried with them. He was sad with them. Jesus cares about his friends. So after Jesus cries with Mary and Martha, he goes to the gravesite where they had buried Lazarus. And the third thing that we see is that Jesus has power to give life. Lazarus had died, and he had been put in these grave clothes that they buried him in. He had been dead for 4 days. And just like Jesus in the beginning had spoken the earth into creation, just like we learned a few weeks ago, he had spoken to the wind and the waves to calm them down. He called out and said, "Lazarus, come out of the grave!" And just like that, go ahead, Lazarus. Good. Sit down, Lazarus. Lazarus came out of the grave. He was dead. He had been dead for 4 days. And because of the power that Jesus has, he gave Lazarus life. Nobody can give life. The doctor, once somebody is dead, cannot give life. Mary and Martha, the sisters,
That was fun!
the sisters couldn't give life. The neighbors and the cousins and the brothers, they couldn't give life. Only Jesus can give life. So with Lazarus and the rest of the craziness out of here, I want to encourage you guys. Jesus cares about growing his followers, you and me. Jesus really, really cares for those who are hurting, and he hurts with us. We can look to Jesus in our hurt, and Jesus is the only one who gives life, and he gives it abundantly and graciously. We can put our faith in Jesus confidently. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Redeemer Kids session. I hope you tried the activity at home and in your garden if you have one. And we hope that you'll join us again next week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. for another Redeemer Kids session.
You're doing a new thing, making my heart sing, bringing color to this brand new day. It's never been clearer, you draw thing, making my heart sing, bringing color to this brand new day. It's never been clearer.